Not only is Mount St. Helens the most famous volcano in the United States, but if you look outside the blast area, it has vibrant growth. Despite, or maybe because of its frequent eruptions, there are many large trees in the area. In particular, one of the areas shown here on the southwest side of Mount St. Helens, known as Goat Marsh, has the second highest biomass of anywhere on Earth. Quite fittingly, the largest known noble fir tree occurs in this area, only 4 miles from the crater. Its exact location is unlisted, but it is 27 feet in circumference and 270 feet tall. Compare this with what we saw after the eruption in 1980.
The entire north flank of the mountain was gone, and that proved the key to understanding exactly what had occurred on the morning of May 18th. The initial force of the eruption had been across the land instead of blasting skyward. Now, the mountain, which lost most of its summit, is topped by a gaping horseshoe-shaped crater nearly 2 miles long and 1 mile wide.
The previous record noble fir tree was over 300 feet tall, but it was washed away during the last eruption. The blast and pyroclastic clouds wiped out 230 square miles of forest. As much as 25% of the forest was able to be salvaged, but much of the upper slope was left to the natural elements.
Logs, hundreds of years old, roared past stunned onlookers.
The salvaged logged area lies in stark contrast to the natural area, both in the variety of trees and the thickness of them. And they are both in stark contrast to the areas outside the blast area. Area around Mount St. Helens, it also holds some of the biggest and tallest Douglas-fir trees in the world. The tallest tree in Washington is a mere 10 miles from the summit of Mount St. Helens. So why is it that we have two of the National Champion trees right next to Mount St. Helens? I think it might have something to do with its frequent eruptions.
St. Helens is known to have erupted numerous times in the past. In the early and mid-1800s, she erupted again. It's small wonder local Native Americans in a variety of tribal languages called this peak basically the same thing: Fire Mountain.
The most destructive forces from the eruption, however, is not the lava, but it's the blast wave and the pyroclastic flows that flowed after the eruption. Mud flows decimated the valleys leading away from the mountain. Entire rivers were diverted and new valleys were formed.
2 miles to the south. But it was the debris-laden walls of water which tore down the north fork of the Toutle River that proved most spectacular and devastating.
There is a mudslide coming down the mountain right now. Get up, separate! Let's get up! Film this.
If you look at the headwaters of the Toutle River now, you'll see a deep canyon was carved after the eruption. And if you look to the area to the upper right, we can see our Goat Marsh research area, the area that has the second highest biomass on the planet. The reason it has such a high biomass is because of its noble fir trees. They occur in concentrations up to 80% in this area. That's unlike anywhere else. Is this because of the frequent eruptions? I believe so. I've went and seen the National Champion tree down there, and it is right next to the marsh that's filled with volcanic ash. And these trees can be 8 foot in diameter and 300 foot tall. What makes them unique is it retains much of that through its entire height. One notable valley on the north side of Mount St. Helens that survived is the Green River Valley. It contains many giant Douglas-fir trees, a lot of area that it hasn't even been explored. It's a huge valley that was protected from the blast by Mount Venus to the north side of it. One effect of the eruption is that we were able to get a lot of the area set aside as a national volcanic monument. Ironically, this area was all proposed before the eruption, because of the frequent eruptions in this area, similar to how we have Mount Lassen National Volcanic Monument, even though there hasn't been an eruption there. But it was a renewed public interest after the 1980 eruption that finally got it pushed through. This includes not only the blast area, but also almost all of the surrounding forest. So even though an area of 230 square miles and a force equal to 1,600 times the force of the atomic bomb dropped at Hiroshima decimated the countryside, it might have been a good thing for the land. Now the area will be protected almost indefinitely. It's hard to imagine this volcanic monument ever getting overturned. And we can already see the land making a speedy recovery. Even though Mount St. Helens erupts far more frequently than any of the other Cascade volcanoes, we can see, as evident by the 500-year-old trees and the thousands of year-old stands, that there really is nothing to worry about. This area is going to be fine. It's a land of stark contrast. It is going to be revered. It is part of our culture. And it's going to erupt again. But that's the way of things at Mount St. Helens.